Hi, supporters, and on the Patreon and YouTube and wherever else in the world you are. So, as some of you know, I am doing an art residency in Portugal, Lisbon, and I'm here for 30 days. And boy, am I not having a good time. So, first of all, tomorrow will be my first full week that I've been in Lisbon. I've been here before. This is my first time doing anything artistic. I did put this request out into the universe, and when I first came to Lisbon, I was like very inspired by the streets and was like, oh wow, it would be so good to do something here. And I had a bunch of ideas. And so when I submitted for this art residency, I decided to not try and invent something new and just go ahead and do something that I was working on. So, what I did for my portfolio for my master's degree is an extension. This is an extension of that, where I am, joining the conversations around food with racism, and to tell, a little bit of the history of racism through food with black people. And Lisbon is a really good place to start because of the transatlantic slave trade. Portugal is, because of the history with the transatlantic slave trade and how it pretty much started here. And anyway, very inspiring city. But because of Corona, um, the city's pretty much a ghost town. And right now it's Easter weekend, 2021, and it's fucking lame here. The restrictions are being lifted though, so that's really good. I came in just as they were doing the first like leg of lifting the restrictions. Um, Starting tomorrow, the restaurants are going to be open for sit-in service, which I'm not excited about because, quite frankly, unless there's like barriers up, I really want to eliminate the possibility of people's fucking spit when they're talking ending up on my food. So basically, what I'm saying is I am definitely for wearing masks and, keeping as much distance as I can from other humans. But it would be nice to sit down in a restaurant sometime. But, um, that's going to start happening here tomorrow. Lots of the stores have been closed. It's been super fucking annoying. And to make matters worse, the place that I'm staying is a bit shabby, which is really not the problem. It's just that, the heat hasn't really kicked in outside yet. Like it's in the 70s, if you're an American, it's in the 70s here. And, well, if you use Fahrenheit, it's in the 70s here. And but it's still like the cold from the previous season is still kind of trapped in the walls. So until it gets really really hot outside, it's still going to be fairly chilly inside. But when I go outside for walks, I'm a lot better than I am in the home where I'm really really uncomfortable because it's so cold. I've got two tiny little space heaters running now to try to keep myself warm. And another issue is that the internet was not working here really well, and I was on the verge of packing up my shit and going home this coming week because, like, why would I be someplace where the internet doesn't work? So I had taken a couple of nights and went to what do you call them, a serviced apartment not too far from here, and stayed there for 2 nights, and it was so fucking cute in there. And but also the issue with their heat, it's like I had the temperature up, but for whatever fucking reason it was so chilly in there, and I didn't bother calling anyone to complain because I just was like, oh my god, like try to just like deal with it. But I was very uncomfortable. It was super cute, but I really needed to figure out the heat situation because I don't like being cold, okay? And I come from a cold climate where we've got central heating system inside the apartment, so coldness and I do not agree. But right now it's kind of better here because I've had the heaters running for a little bit, but it's still kind of uncomfortable at times. So I'm finding myself with two blankets right now, um, but I'm still fairly annoyed. So anyway, how did I get back to that? Whatever. The I feel like I jumped into the conversation, but the internet wasn't working. And they were trying to say, "Oh, it's your computer. You got too many tabs open. You this." I'm like, "Look, it's not my computer. My computer was just working fine under someone else's internet just a day before because I was staying at a friend's place for a couple of nights before the residency officially started. So, I was like, well, I'm gonna see what happens when I go to this other place. So I go to the other place, and yeah, obviously my computer has no problem connecting. So like, I mean, the first issue I was having was that I couldn't even open my Gmail account, right? So I'm like, yo, what the fuck? This is total bullshit. So, and everything was just lagging. But, I came back yesterday for a quick pop in, and they did something and they fixed it. And they also said they're going to like buy a booster or something so it can work. Because other than doing this art project and preparing to do my presentation for grad school so I can get my degree, I also have the conference for my collective that is coming up in June for Juneteenth. And there's going to be lots of meetings and me having to check email. Yesterday I was checking the applications, the submissions for people who want to present at the conference, and there was no way I was going to use my cell phone for that shit. You know what I mean? That would have been hella annoying, and I didn't sign up for that. So another thing that's happening here as well is that I was supposed to be here with another artist, but for whatever reason the artist decided that they can't make it. So I'm here alone. I'm here alone. And that's really annoying because then everything that's happening here right now, I really could have just done back in Berlin. And I find myself here in Lisbon alone doing my art. Like I didn't have to leave my home for this, to be cold, to have lagging internet, and to not be communicating with other artists. Oh boy, I shouldn't have left my water all the way over there because I'm getting the little dryness in my throat. But I did have a conversation with the two people here that's running the residency, and they were kind of helpful to bounce ideas off of. But right now it's really lonely. Another guy is supposed to come here for 3 days. He has done this residency before, so he's coming in for 3 days because he's about to move into Lisbon. So maybe I will connect with him, but he's a him and he sounds like a cis male, and that doesn't excite me at all. But I'm sure he may, whatever. I'm sure he's nice. Um, but when they're men, you know, y'all know how I feel about this is heteropatriarchy. Um, but I'm making assumptions. So, yeah, that's what's going on here. So I'm not really having the best time. This is week one. I've got 3 more weeks to go. I've got to get my shit together, put together the concept. I did this in September back in Berlin, and I really wanted to spruce it up a bit, really expand on this. And a friend of mine is supposed to be helping me put this together, but then I spoke to her today, and I it was a very interesting conversation where she basically was telling me, like, like, if you stop breathing, you'll lose oxygen and you'll die, basically. So that's what her advice sounded like to me. She's like, well, let's have a beginning, middle, and end. And I'm like, wow, that goes without question. So I'm gonna have to have a conversation with her tomorrow because she's supposed to be the one helping me direct this, about just my process. And the process that I work with is all about chaos, right? You kind of have to, I kind of have to have everything thrown in a pot and then pick it apart and figure out where it goes. But I think the first issue is that she didn't see the actual last show when I first did it. She doesn't understand the whole concept and how it works. And then the other major piece is that she also doesn't understand how I work. So I don't work in this very straight um, fashion that, that's so literal. It's like beginning, middle, end. I mean, obviously it's going to have a beginning, middle, end, but how am I putting these pieces together to meld and create this one cohesive act? Because the act it's a 1 hour burlesque act, and it just is continuous, and it keeps going, and it has different visuals and different sounds, and it's speaking about different food. My weave hair is all over the place, and it's speaking about different food. And I want to, make that something really interesting. So she's supposed to be helping me conceptualize, but if the conceptual aspect of it is going to be, oh, telling me beginning, middle, and end, to a 43-year-old artist, you know, I've been an artist pretty much the majority of my life. um, that doesn't really make sense to me. So I might end up finding myself back at the beginning where I'm just like contacting my mentors who really understand me and how I work and how my mind thinks and understand my project, and maybe, speaking with the people here, and just, going with that flow, which is how it's kind of always been. Even when in grad school, this is kind of how I had to work. Um, as opposed to trying to hire somebody to help me direct and conceptualize, put together a more cohesive, piece that tells a very interesting story. So that's where I'm at. So the only good thing I would say about this residency thus far in week one is that I am in Lisbon. And when I was doing the grad school work, when I was doing the grad school work, there was a big chapter on Lisbon and traveling here and eating the food and understanding the similarities, the connections with the food and the people and the slave history, and and the African history. So the good thing is that I'm right back where I kind of had some inspiration and found similarities, minor similarities with the people of Jamaica and the American people. And there's wherever there's black people, there's always going to be similarities in our history because of slavery. But the final piece is not supposed to be some sad, teary-eyed story. It's supposed to be delicious. It's supposed to be tasty. It's supposed to be informative. It's supposed to be about race without telling you that it is about race. And then at the end, you kind of figure out what is going on, and basically at the end of the day is talking about the consumption, the literal consumption of black people, our literal flesh, and our ideas, our bodies, and everything. You know what I mean? And that's the kind of message that I want to convey. But I don't want to hear beginning, middle, and end, because that is obviously, it has to begin someplace and it has to end at some time. It's just a 1 hour act. But how do I fit this? How do I create this in this space and do an installation here, and then bring that to the stage in Berlin for June to perform it live? And that's what I need to figure out. So y'all are going to be on this journey with me, and I hope that you stay. Please tell your friends to come and join. I really have to sit down and change the levels of what people can sign up for. But I'm doing my best to, update a lot more. Content creation is so fucking hard, and I get so stressed out by it sometime, but I'm really trying to embrace my addiction to being online and like find more space to make money from doing it, and utilize it more and entertain my audience. So thank you for sticking around. I think it's like only 2 of you right now, but maybe by the end of this month I'll have so many more people. See ya.